Today I'm going to be picking up where I left off on my woodshed build, and that means going out to the woods and getting some more logs. Notch, notch, notch on the end there. Notches down the center. Last week when I loaded the truck down with all those logs that you guys saw, I thought that was going to be everything I needed. But after using all Douglas fir for the posts, I've decided against using these alders that I got. And I think I'll end up still using this one and this one for some of the beams. But I need to go out and get some more because I've changed things up a little bit. Not the design, but just the size of wood, size logs that I need. So you'll see what I'm talking about here in a little bit.
Some stories come down to this. Star is born, star burns out.
Okay, let's take a look. No, 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 too difficult. No, no. Alder. That one looks promising. And this one here looks promising. This one's too big and too heavy. This one looks good though. Never mind, I don't like how rotten that one was. Man, that looked like a good spot, but I just found two duds. So I made it back to the spot where I was last time. Here's those two alder logs that I dropped off. And I was kind of avoiding making it back to this spot. I was trying to find something good along the way because I really don't want to have to go down there and retrieve that log. But I know it's the perfect size, so I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. Flip it all the way up there. Dang it. It's got a split in it, so I can't use this one. I found another one down this hill, but it's gonna be fun to get it out of here. All right, that's my load of logs there for the day. After trying and failing to find a log like this one in multiple spots, I finally found this one. Perfect length, perfect diameter for what I'm looking for. At least I think. I think that's gonna be the ridge beam. We will see. Let's head back. So last night I decided that I really need to pace myself on this project or else I'm gonna overwork myself. So I just brought those logs back, focused on debarking them, organizing them, and then I did a lot of standing and staring and contemplating and planning for how I'm going to tackle today. And now what I plan to do is bring those sawhorses inside the garage where I have that flat, level concrete floor, and I'm gonna work off of that surface to help determine where to cut the notches in these logs for the beams that are gonna go across. I don't know how well you can see that, but this level is resting on that log and it's resting on that log, and there's a gap right here. So I'm gonna lift this up. I've already become comfortable with the fact that none of this is going to be absolutely perfect, but I can still try to make things flat and level and smooth and plumb as much as possible. Y'all playing basketball. Now I've made all the marks and labels that I need to make. This is the top, this is number 3, top number 2, top number 1. And then I've got where I need to make my notch marks. Now I'm gonna go around and make my notches. Wish me luck. One notch down, a lot more to go. Now that I've got each one of the notches on these beams cut out, you can see how when the posts sit underneath each one of these, despite the fact that these logs started out at different diameters, they will now have the same, relatively the same amount of logs sticking up above the post. So the beams are on the same plane. Now, of course, they're not perfectly round. So when I slide this level that way, it's gonna get a little bit off there, see, but this area, when I put it on there, the level sits flat. And then if we go over to this end, same thing, it's touching all three. So that to me is success. Now I have to make notches in the middle because there are gonna be short posts that stick up here that hold the ridge beam. And I forgot to film this part, but I'll show you guys real quick. I found the center of each one of these beams by hooking the string on here through that little saw mark like I did before, all the way to the other end like this. So that string is going right down the center of the log. You can see my pencil mark is right there. And then I just made a mark perpendicular to that, which is right at the center of the log, which is 48.5 inches, because I made these 8 foot 1 inches long. I wanted just a tiny bit of an overhang on each one. All right, it's hard to believe, but check it out. Notch, notch, notch on the end there. Notches down the center. This is sitting level, so they're on the same plane right there. And then over here, notch, notch, notch. This is 1, 2, 3, and I have these ones labeled as well. This is 1 top, 2 top, 3 top. And the tops of these get incrementally smaller as we move from front to back because the ridge beam is a round log, just like everything else. And it starts off bigger on one end and slowly decreases in diameter. And so it'll make sense once I put it up there, but that's what I'm doing here. Well, that's a wrap for today's progress. Tomorrow, I set these beams on top of the posts out there. I want to say it was 63 degrees. That was the stabilizing temperature when I first built this thing a couple months ago, and the temperature was colder outside. It was like 37 degrees outside. So it's 5 degrees warmer here now that we're in spring. Temperatures are a little bit warmer, but she's still working great. Jeez. All right, well, that did not go according to plan, but I got it up there. Oh my gosh. So the first time I drug it over here, those little support boards that I put were on the outside, and that's wider than 8 feet, which I feel so dumb now. Like, of course, the log was not going to fit. As soon as I lifted it up there, it just fell off because they were too far apart. So I had to move the 2x4s to the inside of the post, and then the brace that I had going straight across to hold the post from moving this way, that was preventing me from being able to lift it up, so I had to take that off, and I finally got it up there. But oh, and then when I dropped it, the middle thing for the ridge beam, that fell off. The reason I did all that in the garage is because I was dealing with a nice flat surface, and I wanted to get as much done on the ground as possible. All the notching, all the leveling, all of the figuring out like how tall, how far apart everything needed to be. I wanted to do as much on the ground as I could because it's way more difficult to do it when you're standing on a ladder up here. So I don't know how it's going to go getting these next two up there, but we'll see. And another thing is, this thing is way taller. It looks way taller than I thought it was going to. It's still about 12 feet off the ground, which is what it was in my drawing. But now that it's together and I'm standing here, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so tall. But I don't want to shorten it because that's going to change the pitch of the roof. So this measures 4 feet to the top of the beam. See that? 4 feet. And from the edge of the beam to the center of this, it's 4 feet. Actually, it's 48.5 inches. Yeah, so 12 or 1-to-1, however you want to put it. And that means for every 12 inches you move horizontally, you move 12 inches up vertically. And that is the pitch of this roof on the cabin. I never have to sweep off this roof because it's so steep, everything just slides right off, except for when it gets caught on those windows right there. But because of that simple fact, that's why I'm making the roof pitch on this woodshed so steep. I don't want to have to clean it. Oh. All right, everyone. Well, I'm a few steps closer to this woodshed being done. It is the next day, and obviously I'm here outside, and I'm going to share some footage of me just walking around, showing the notches, showing these beams. Again, there are slight imperfections here and there. There's one of these posts that definitely did not make a straight cut, and I had to put a bunch of wedges underneath to make sure that beam sits level. And then I re-braced everything. I just went around and with my 4-foot level tried to generally gauge, like, okay, if I push this over, I want to make it level this way and this way. And it's really hard to do when you're dealing with these round logs because obviously they have these little bumps and stuff. So you just got to kind of draw an imaginary line, like, okay, if that bump right there wasn't there and if this post was completely straight, that right there would be level. And so I put my braces, like I attached one to a tree over there, to another tree right there. Then so this one's attached to that tree, very solid, but then this one is away from everything else. But then over here, I got this one braced to the ground that way because from that end to that end, I don't know. It's no use explaining. Everything is just like Now I went around, put the level on every post, every beam, and got it as close as I possibly can. So everything, as long as all these braces stay put, it's kind of locked into position. And before I proceed to the next step, I'm gonna check that again. But it's sitting pretty solid as is right now. And after editing the video yesterday, sitting down, watching the footage of me doing all the notching inside the garage, I definitely regret not using a ratchet strap to strap down the logs to the sawhorses. Those logs were moving around a lot, and I could have easily avoided all that moving around by just using a ratchet strap to just like ratchet it down real tight so the log stays put. But I'll probably do that when I do the beams in the next video. But something that's always playing a factor for me when I'm working on these projects is time. I'm trying to do things relatively quickly. You know, I want to take my time and do it right, but I put out videos once a week, and there are so many times where it's like, you know, the right way to do this is to like slow down and not break the roof rack of your truck because you're overloading it. You could probably do this like taking 3 individual trips instead of loading down the truck with all these logs. Like, I know that in my head, and I know that taking the time to ratchet strap each one of those 3 logs down is more optimal, but I also have to get this done. But even if I wasn't on a strict time schedule, which I'm not really because I'm kind of my own boss, but it's just my personality. Like, I want to make progress. I want to get this thing done. And thinking about like taking the time to do those little things, I'm just like, nah, let's just go. I know that I can chisel this and the log's going to move a little bit, but I'm going to get it done. So whatever. So that notching method, or at least part of it, not all of it, but a big part of it, was learned by this guy, Chris. I can't remember the name of his channel, but I'll put something here so you guys can see. He has a fantastic channel. He's way more of a craftsman than I am, for sure. So the way that I did that with the string line and using the level and the pencil, I learned a lot of that from him, but then it was a huge help having my laser level. That was like cheat code for sure. I want to say thank you to my stepdad, Tim, for letting me borrow his slick. That worked really, really well. That would have taken me forever to make those notches if I didn't have that slick. That was amazing. So thank you, Tim. I gotta say, it works pretty slick. You guys may have noticed the handle of that. I like stuffed a paper towel around the wooden handle because the wood shrunk. So the handle would just like fall out of that slick. So I wrapped a paper towel around it and kind of pounded it down so that that slick stayed together. I probably could have soaked it in a bucket of water overnight and made it expand, but that's another thing. It's like time consuming. It's like I could do that. I could like spend however much time to figure out how to make that work, or I could just wrap a shop towel around it and hit it once and then it would work. And I said it in the last video, but I'll say it again. My back is feeling good. I'm feeling strong. I work out, I stay fit. And by the way, I was running each morning. That's why I was wearing running shorts in these videos. It's probably not advisable to wear short shorts when you're running a chainsaw, but I had just finished my morning run and I was all sweaty and nasty, so I just jumped right into working on the woodshed from going on my morning trail run. So that's how I like to do things. I like to wear workout clothes, and it was hot too. So the first day when I was wearing all those pants and boots and stuff, that was a lot safer, but I was sweating so bad and I just wanted to be comfortable. So comfort over safety in this video for sure. And a lot of you in the last video, you were looking out for me. I appreciate you guys concerned for my health. You're like, dude, you got to get a winch for your truck. That's going to make things a lot easier. And a lot of people said you got to get, I think it's called a block and tackle. I didn't even know what that was, but I looked it up. And yeah, it's like a system where you have a rope and pulley. And I could totally probably have that set up between that tree and that tree, but I don't know how to get one of those. I don't know how much they cost, and heavy lifting is done. And again, who knows how long it would take me to source those, to get them, to put the ladder up, to do all that stuff. And I just know that I'm strong enough to do what I did, and it was going to get the job done. So that's what I did. And if you can't tell by now, by watching all of my videos, I'm kind of a meathead. So I just like, how can I like just do it using manpower and just like, oh, you got this. That's my general approach to the start of things. And then I sit down, I'm like, okay, let's think a little bit about this before you go full like sumo wrestler mode. But then I ultimately land closer to sumo wrestler and like grunt work Diego mode at the end of the day. Really looking forward to the next part. Appreciate you guys checking out this video, and I will see you next week. Bye.